Thank you so much, Rogero. I'm going to hand this over to Raja from Renewsys. Thank you.
Hi, welcome everyone. So I would like to introduce a little bit about Renewsys before we get into the technical details with Mr. Rajesh Singh. So first of all, why we take this liberty of discussing about the components is because as Sharon explained that we have been into this industry, Mr. Rajesh Singh, especially in the polymer industry for almost 20 years now. So we know how the polymer reacts, how it acts with different things, how it behaves at different temperatures, or what is the relationship, and how does it work when the lamination is done on the panels. So that's why we thought that we would get into the details of these components first. So Renewsys is the first integrated manufacturer of solar components. So why first integrated? Because we have the encapsulants, we have the back sheets, we have solar cells, and also the modules with us. We go to the next slide. Yeah. Renewsys is a part of NP Group, ENPWE, which is an international conglomerate with almost 60 plus years in the manufacturing field. We are present globally. We have got 3,000 plus employees, and the turnover is around 350 million plus dollars. We are present, right? We are quite diversified in the business sector. If you see, we are present from the flexible packaging to the metal packaging industry. We are into home care products. We are into cements. We are into chemicals and cables. And lastly, the solar. This is to give you an idea of how Renewsys is present globally. We have got two manufacturing facilities in India, one in Bangalore and one in Hyderabad. In Bangalore, we manufacture the components, and in Hyderabad, we manufacture the cells and panels. We have got our own offices in the African regions, in South Africa, in Nigeria. Then we have one in Dubai, in the Middle East, one in the north of India. In fact, two in India, one in north of India, Delhi, and one in Mumbai. We have an office in Mauritius, one in Singapore and China. And we have got our representatives also spread around. Like we have Beckett Solar taking care of us in Europe, US, Mexico, Brazil. And this is how we have been through. We started off somewhere in 2011-12. We started off with the encapsulants. And in 2013, we again started off with the back sheets. So we started some exports in 2014, and somewhere in 2015 we thought we would expand our component facilities by adding cell line. So that's how we took over a company by the name of Solar Semiconductors, which was manufacturing solar panels for SunPower USA. This was basically a OEM unit based in the special economic zone. So the inheritance itself, it had a lot of laboratory facilities. It had a lot of quality, what do you call it, quality circles being implemented right from the beginning stage. So it was easier for us to maneuver it throughout. And then we ventured into cells. We expanded the capacity from 80 megawatt of module lines to 750 megawatt as of today. And we are thinking of some more expansion in the next year. We have got a cell line which was initially 30 megawatts when we took over this company. Right now we are at 130 megawatt. And the EV and backsheet facilities have also been doubled in the last few years. We have been launching new products almost every year from 2016-17. In the next years coming down, we are looking at floating solar and bifacial modules, and also higher efficiency panels. The strength of Renewsys is the laboratory and technical expertise. Like we have got two different R&D centers, one in Bangalore for the components and one in Hyderabad for the modules and cells. And we have a laboratory which has been approved by Intertech, and we have the total facility that testing of modules requires. Like we can do the IC test, TUV IC test, whatever TUV does in the laboratory. Apart from one or two tests, we can do all the other tests in-house. So many of the manufacturers in India or globally also, whenever they get into a new facility or they set up a new facility, they come to us. We provide them with not only with the components, but also we test their initial modules or samples and give them the results. Though we cannot officially certify it, but we can give them a very good report based on which they can go ahead with the certification process and further. As I said, we have two different facilities. In the module line, we have got 750 megawatts. Cells, we have 130 megawatt in Hyderabad. And in Bangalore, the encapsulant line is 1.4 gigawatt, where we manufacture not only EVA, but also POE. And the backsheet line is around 3 gigawatts. So now I hand it over to Mr. Rajesh Singh so that he can take it forward with the technical details.
Thank you, Raja. Thank you, Sharon, for introducing us. My name is Rajesh Singh. Good morning and afternoon, evening to everyone. As Raja said, we are the company who manufacture encapsulant, backsheet, and solar cell, these key components, and the module under one company. Actually, it provides a lot of unmatched synergy, which makes us doing a lot of innovative product developments and its reliability with a lot of ease of doing it. Coming to the technicality of encapsulant, I am going to cover encapsulant, backsheet, and some newer technology which are emerging in EVA backsheet and solar module arena. Starting with the material and function of encapsulant, I think all we know encapsulant is used for physically encapsulating the cell, providing optical properties, which is transparency and UV resistant to the cell and to other components of the module. It provides electrical insulation to give safety aspect of the module, plus to make the module more PID resistant. We'll discuss PID a little bit more later. Of course, it provides shock, pressure, load, mechanical aspect of the module during their life in the field. There are basically two types of encapsulant, EVA and POE. EVA had been in the market for last 30 years, whereas POE is new in trend into the module, which came around 3 years, and it actually came into the existence because of technology emergence in the module, which is called bifacial or module for PIVP, which we'll touch upon a little more later. Encapsulant are made using two resins, one EVA, it's called ethylene vinyl acetate, and polyolefin elastomer. The selection criteria for making an encapsulant is actually based on the basic property of resin. For example, for EVA, the basic selection criteria is vinyl acetate content into it, which correspond to the properties of encapsulant in terms of its transparency, adhesion, and softness, which increases along with increase in vinyl content, whereas strength, rigidity, and resistivity, these three properties reduce when the same vinyl acetate content increases. Similarly, for POE, the selection criteria is based on the density. I'm just trying to give some more technicality into it, just to make understand how selection of polymer happens during manufacturing of these products. So when density increases in POE, its melting point and sampling point increases. Creep resistance, mechanical strength, actually they reduce, and processing of encapsulant even at our end where we do manufacturing of it, and lamination process little bit reduces because of its own nature. Going to encapsulant manufacturing, I have tried to give some basic idea how it is manufactured in the factory. We take resin, which is pellet form, then mixing of additives is done at the level of manufacturing, where additive could be in liquid form, powder form, or in pellet form. We make this into compound form, and then this compound is then fed into an extruder, which is nothing but a heat and process from starting into the extruder. Then it is casted on a roll, which is chill roll, and finally then it comes on a winder, where a roll form of encapsulant is made, which looks like this. This is just a roll, which could be say 100 meter to 200 meter or 300 meter length, and they look like this in the sheet form. I think you all know, because you must be using these encapsulant in sheet form almost every day. Now coming to little more technicality of encapsulant, how does it function? Encapsulant, whether it is POE based or EVA based, are actually polymer. The polymer is a plastic material which is having various types of molecules of different chain length, branching, short branch, long branch, which look like this in the linear form. So when we do the formulation at our end, where manufacturing happens, we make some cross-linking agent which then reacts in the module under heat and pressure, and they get cross-linked. So one polymer which is in the sheet form before lamination converts itself into rubber form, which that the region attain its own property is longevity, which makes module to survive for their lifetime in the field. Few basic property of encapsulant which we control is degree of cross-linking by way of formulation and process, is transparency, again based on the selection of material and process involved in making them in the sheet form. We add some material which makes peel bond or bonding of these encapsulant with cell, glass or back sheet, because encapsulant is only material which binds everything together. It also provides volume resistivity, which gives PID resistance to the cell and complete module when it is made. And finally, dielectric strength is is the electrical property of the module, which gives safety. So this block actually is the input property which is imparted into the encapsulant while making it by virtue of formulations. And the other box actually are the output property, which is measured before we ship the consignment to customers. And these are few things which should be also tested at the module level after module is made. For example, gel content, peel bond, flashing of the module based on their flasher, which gives how much wattage has been generated or how much is CTM loss or gain after making the module from cell to the final stage of module. And PID losses also is one property which to be tested, because this is one which gives power loss when module are installed in the field in a hot and humid condition. Reliability, of course, is a major factor in module, because they are supposed to be in the field for 25 years, and largely quality of components including cell, backsheet and encapsulant determine its longevity in the field. Moving to the next slide, I have given a brief comparison between EVA and POE encapsulant. So basically EVA is this product was introduced, as I said, around 20-30 years back. It is basically was for glass to backsheet structure. Even today, this is the dominating encapsulant in the market, and glass to backsheet is the dominating design of module in the field. So if I do the one-to-one comparison, glass to backsheet is for EVA, whereas TPO or POE can be used for glass to glass. It could be used for crystalline silicon cell, thin film technology module, whether it is for CIGS or it is for cadmium tellurides. These are fewer technical name. I hope that we all understand, but any more clarification can be given later. So EVA is cross-linking type POE could be cross-linking or non-cross-linking type depending on the structure of the POE during the formulation. Mechanical strength of POE is more. POE also has got a property which is called creeping if it is not properly cross-linked, because as I said, there are two types of POE available in the market. So non-cross-linkable POE can give creep, especially for glass-to-glass configuration of module. PID is one property which is very good for POE encapsulant because they are naturally electrically insulating in nature, and its volume resistivity is 10 to the power 16, unlike EVA which is 15 or low. POE is also better in moisture property in terms of moisture barrier and its sensitivity to moisture. Only the drawback of POA is that it takes little more time in lamination because it has to be done. Generally, it is glass to glass which is used for this, and it takes longer time, little bit longer time to penetrate heat through two sides of glasses. And it is less corrosion resistance. It is higher in module expectancy because it does not create any chemicals, and also it does not create what is called acetic acid, because POE is neutral, or we can say non-polar material, whereas EVA is having acetic acid formation because of presence of vinyl acetate, as we discussed before. Now among various encapsulant, we said EVA and POE are two dominating ones. And within EVA and POE, there are two variants of encapsulant. One is UVT and second is conventional. UVT is nothing but ultraviolet transparent, which is a new entrant into the technology of PV, which came around 3 years back. If I give some very brief comparison of conventional encapsulant, where there is some formulation in the recipe which makes light to get blocked if it is less than 360 nanometer. The purpose is to block these light which are UV rays, which were harmful, which were supposed to be harmful for the cell and the backsheet below it earlier. But now, due to invent of newer technology, better material in PV segment, we can now allow these light to pass through the encapsulant, and it can generate more power, because when more light reaches to the cell, it can generate more power because more incidence light is falling. This happens only when you open the window of encapsulant from 360 nanometer onwards to 220 nanometer now, because that is what is the main purpose of doing this, making it EV transparent. If I tell little bit more on this, sun contains light all the way from around 200 nanometer to 1200 nanometer. Now earlier, people used to block from 200 nanometer to 360 nanometer, and they were allowing only from 360 nanometer onwards. But now, if we allow from 200 nanometer or so, that much more light we get on the cell, and cell generates more power. Now, PID is another phenomenon which industry learned around 5 years back. It is the phenomena where power loss happens during field generation, especially when negative system voltage is generated in the string where climatic condition is hot and humid. PID is actually caused by various factors in the PV system, starting from the system level to the module level, to the environmental level, and finally cell level. This is two types, reversible and non-reversible. Reversible is something which is just polarization during the day, and when you earth, the module from negative system voltage goes away completely. But if the phenomena continues for a longer time, actually the electrochemical reaction happens, which leads to conversion of metallic parts, and then it becomes difficult for PID to get reduced. In that case, if I focus only on the module level PID control, which is actually caused by low volume resistivity of encapsulant or maybe the type of encapsulant. So at module level, it could be controlled by reducing the conductivity or increasing the volume resistivity. This is the property which are inversely proportional. Or we can choose an encapsulant which is non-polar in nature, and that is what is POE we discussed, where its volume resistivity is higher naturally. Environmental condition, as we said, it depends on temperature and humidity. So if we are making module or EVA for climatic condition where climate is hot and humid, we are more careful to make PID resistance of EVA better or higher. Whereas if it is to be installed in some condition where it is cool and dry like Europe, probably this is not a key property to control in an encapsulant. At cell level, it is controlled by increasing the ARC, which is called reflective coating, which is done during cell manufacturing. And this is actually nothing but increasing the refractive index of ARC coating, which is called anti-reflective coating. Because PID is caused by PV system at different levels, the solution are also derived at different level. So if I talk only on the module level problem, which is caused by low volume resistivity of encapsulant, we could see here that an encapsulant of around 10 to the power 15 ohm centimeter is good enough to control PID from caused by encapsulant in the module. Whereas if we use POE and TPO, let me tell you, POE and TPO are the same. They are called interchangeably from country to country, company to company, but generally POE is little more cross-linkable, TPO is little less, but in fact they are same material. So if we use POE or TPO, they are naturally more volume resistant and it gives more resistivity to the cell, stopping the current leakage. We have done one interesting study in our company where we have installed module demo plant of 6 kilowatt each using standard EVA, ultraviolet EVA and PID EVA, and we have compared the data of last 3 years, and we have found that whatever is talked theoretically, practically we are getting the same result. So few conclusions which can be drawn from here is that the PID and EVT combination gives highest power in all the seasons, followed by PID, and least power generation happens in standard EVA. The PID is the property which we said will reduce the power loss under hot and humid condition, and UVT gives more light to the cell, hence generating more power every time. So these two combination gives the highest power generation, and all three types are also seasonal. That means when there is more DNI, is called daily incidence light, more DNI, all three generate more. If it is low, all three generate low. But in general, every time the PID and EVT gives the highest combination, and standard EVA without PID and without EVT is the least generating candidate in this case. So if I give you a bar chart on this, if we compare standard EVA with PID EVA, generates 3.3% more power, and further from PID to PID EVA to PID plus EVT EVA generates 3.3 additional power. So the difference of 6.6% in power generation from standard EVA to PID and EVT type. This is the 3 years cumulative data generation. So conclusion, we can say that if one uses PID and EVT combination of EVA at the front and PID plus standard EVA in the back, will be the best combination to generate highest power. And then this phenomena will be noticed only in the module level in your factory, only if you have a flasher starting from 200 90 nanometer flashlight, because otherwise this will not get detected by the cell, by your detector in the instrument, and you will not get the value while cell will generate, because cell will not generate power because it is not getting the light. So light has to be there, which is 290 to 360 nanometer in your flasher. And of course, solar glass is also one contributing factor for PID, which we have not discussed in detail because that was not the subject of the day, but it does contribute. And if we can match UV cutoff wavelength of glass with front side of EVA, it gives the best combination. We have various types of EVA and POE encapsulant grades, right from fast cure, PID free, ultra fast cure, PID free, ultra fast cure, standard. So these are all combinations. But what all out of all are leading is PID and EVT in different form. Maybe in PID EVT form or only EVT standard form, because these are the best combination evolved now for last 1 year or so, and people are using accordingly. POE encapsulant are transparent, can be UV transparent or standard. The same version of encapsulant are also available in POE. So this is the summary of our product, where all the way from standard to ultra fast, then PID and UVT combination can be chosen based on this. These combinations, which is PID plus UVT, is actually more useful for megawatt level or utility scale projects, not probably the one which is street light or small home lights, because they are not actually subject to high voltage, and so the PID resistance property need, because the PID generally happens only if system voltage very high. I know in US it used to be 600 volt earlier. Now US has moved to 1000 volt. Europe was already 1000 volt system voltage for the field. Now everybody is moving to 1500. So globally trend of PV module is moving from 600 to 1000, now 1500. So when it becomes 1500, the EVA being PID is more important, because that is how it gives more benefit to prevent power losses. Few market failure I could collect just to give an idea what could happen if someone uses the wrong encapsulant. So this could lead to snail trail. This is caused by basically cell, but this is also potentially can be caused by EVA or POA encapsulant if there is impurity. Second is corrosion. This corrosion can happen if there is chemical impurity in encapsulant, and it could happen in monocell or multicell. Then we have EVA browning or discoloration. This is again caused by wrong selection of raw material while making encapsulant, and it could also lead to delamination. This could be caused by wrong formulation of EVA while manufacturing. And PID we discussed, it could cause because of current leakage through EVA, and then it actually affect the cell. Finally cell get damaged at PN junction level, and it is stop generating power what is it expected for. Now moving to backsheet. Backsheet is typically 3 to 4 layer. It could be laminated, coated, or semi-coated, semi-laminated sheet or polymer, which is of different combinations, which we'll discuss in next slide. But starting with the function of backsheet, like we discussed in EVA, the function of backsheet is to give the resistance to the module from weather conditions. It could be dirt, dust, chemical, hydrolytic attack by moisture which comes from rainwater or moisture from ground, and this could also be for UV radiation, resistance from UV radiation which comes from reflection of light from the earth. It definitely provides electrical insulation because this is the only layer from outside which protects cell, and this is the major safety aspect of a module, to be highly electrically insulating and resistive, to avoid it from burnt or from electric discharge. It also provides mechanical strength to the module because this covers it from back, and you have to protect the cell through EVA to give module a mechanical rigidity. There are basically three different types of main back seats, but if you see overall there are various types, but these are ones which are covering majority of the market. So starting with laminated one, this laminated back sheet are called laminated because all three layer or both layer, if it is two layer, are laminated with adhesive, which is glue applied during lamination process. So if I give you a very rough idea, this could be all three layer laminated. This laminated and coated could be one layer laminated and other layer coated, whereas middle layer is common. Coated back sheet could be both the layer outside and inside. Outside layer goes on the air and inside layer goes towards this encapsulant. Could be coated. A very brief comparative property between two back sheets are, if I divide only laminated and laminated plus coated and coated together. So laminated backsheet should be preferred because of cushioning effect, which provides less cell cracking. It gives better integrity because it is carrying more mass, more polymeric material with more toughness, and it is moderately priced. Whereas coated backsheet is poor in surface integrity because surface of backsheet is coated. This could lead to poor moisture barrier because layer is one, it is not laminate of film, and any coating has got porosity, it gives away the moisture through it. Then rigidity of back sheet is more because of no cushioning layer, so it can lead to cell crack. Of course, this is economically attractive because cost of manufacturing is less, being two layer coated or one layer coated. Where this is again a chart for manufacturer like us, where we select various types of material for each layer: air side layer, middle layer, and cell side layer. These three types of layer are supposed to impart certain property. For example, air side layer has to be UV resistance, hydrology resistance, low moisture because it faces the environment. Middle side layer gives more mechanical property, moisture barrier, electrical insulation, because it get protected by two layer, and all these critical property are getting preserved within this layer, being this sensitive. This could also be a foil based back sheet. If application of back sheet is for high sensitive cell like say CIGS or thin film, which used to be thin coating of photosensitive layer to be protected from moisture. Then cell side layer of back sheet could be, it should have better volume resistivity because it is going to face towards the cell. It should be chemically compatible with EVA because this is going to get adherence with the EVA, and it should have better cushioning and pliability to give support to cell from cracking. Within back sheet, we have fluoro-based, non-fluoro-based. So let me tell you briefly, there are three types. There could be three scenario where fluoro or non-fluoro types can be used. Non-fluoro types are one which are having polyester EVA, generally we say in the market. And these back sheets came into the market in 2008, and they picked up majority of the market by 2012. Because this was economically better but performing the same. Single fluoro back sheet, actually the second stage after double fluoro. Double fluoro was first backsheet which was introduced maybe 20 years back, in the starting of the module technology, where both the sides of backsheet were fluoro, and in fact it was not needed frankly, because it makes backsheet structure too expensive. At the same time, it is not too good for getting bonding with the cell, especially from the fluoro side, which is towards the cell of the backsheet. Single side fluoro is more preferred today. It is called fluoropolyester ethylene, and majority of the market is moving towards this because this gives the benefit of cost, at the same time property of fluoro on the top side, because actually you need fluoro more on the top side, which is air side, than the fluoro which is inside, because that is actually not needed. So industry has learned, and everybody is now, if fluoro, going for single type. Though there are some companies who are still using double fluoro, but in fact they are not needed. Selection criteria for backsheet is starting from structure, whether you want coated or laminated. This is based on the economy of the project. Then it comes single stage or double stage, because laminator makes a difference in using a particular type of backsheet. It is slow shrink, high shrink. So we know what to do. So we actually check with customer what type of laminator do you have, so that we can accordingly select the raw material. Thickness of backsheet is important in terms of whether one is going to use module for 1000 VDC or 1500 VDC. It's called voltage DC of system, and we set fluoro and non-fluoro based on whether you are in more UV radiation zone of the earth or less. For example, in Arizona or Africa, where UV radiation is more in the sun, you actually need fluoro based, whereas non-fluoro based is more suitable for low UV radiation area, like probably part of Europe or even US, because those are more forgiving climates. Plastic or metallic based backsheets are used for special application like metal wrap through or back cell contact. These are newer technology which were introduced in the market 2-3 years back, but in fact because of cost they could not take off. So very nutshell, in backsheet we discussed fluoro, non-fluoro, but all these types of backsheet could be transparent or could be white. So today 95% of market of backsheet is white, which is normal glass to backsheet structure, whereas new backsheet is coming into the market which is transparent backsheet, and this is to replace the glass to glass by glass to transparent backsheet. Glass to glass or glass to transparent backsheet modules are used for bifacial cells and building integrated photovoltaic BIPV. These backsheets are made by us, and we auto supply to them. This is not a big market today, but the trend is to go for bifacial or PIBP. Time is moving towards this, and probably there will be good volume of transparent backsheet usage in future, maybe 2-3 years from now. So glass to backsheet and glass to glass, if I give brief comparison, it start from lighter weight. Glass to glass is heavy weight. In fact, we'll share these PPTs, so I cannot go in each detail, but generally glass to backsheet is a preferred candidate today over glass to glass, basically because of fragility. It is more fragile and it is costlier, it is heavier. Glass to glass module making needs special equipment for lamination, whereas glass to backsheet modules can be made on the similar line which is being used for normal glass to backsheet for with the white backsheet. Few field failure of backsheet, which is I could picked up out of 100. So 31% is because of cell side alloying. This is the alloying in the backsheet, which is from inside layer. That is what I said, faulty backsheet could lead to various problems. 4% is air side alloying, 22% is cell side cracking, and then air side cracking, which is outer layer of the backsheet, and 3% delamination happens because of faulty glue in the backsheet. Product of backsheet with Renesas is all double fluoro, single fluoro, non-fluoro for 1500 to 1000 VDC. We also have bus bar insulation sheet in white and black color. So we have variety of product. Some of them are leading products, some of them are not so common, but they are used for a niche market, for a special market. Right from aluminum based backsheet, copper, transparent we discuss, and black, we have black to black and white and black to black. Black to black is used for basically uh, for rooftop module where you need more aesthetic. Now moving to market prediction, where we try to see what will be emerging technology from now, and that is where we plan our innovations. So if I see the encapsulant starting from 2019, we have seen 2030. So even today, leading technology is EV encapsulant, whereas POA is gaining an momentum. But this momentum, we have to see whether it is continued, because this was more actually for glass to glass module, but probably glass to glass module will be taken over by glass to transparent backsheet. So let us see whether this prediction falls true. Next is backsheet trend. So starting from again 19 to 30, around 10-year horizon, glass to PVDF backsheet is going to be the major candidate throughout in next 10 years, followed by Tedlar. PVDF is nothing but polyvinyl difluoride. Tedlar is polyvinyl fluoride. So these are similar products which are fluoro. And competitor of these two product is actually PET based backsheet. So PET competes with both of them, PVDF and Tedlar. Coming to module technology, little bit I have added extra out of the subject is glass to glass we just discussed. So glass to glass is emerging, and glass to backsheet is still gaining, still maintaining its momentum. And let us see whether glass to backsheet with glass to transparent backsheet together still reduces or it maintains its share to the in the market, because it seems that it will still keep its share because of invent of glass to transparent backsheet we discuss for glass to glass and glass to transparent backsheet modules. And last probably is the type of module which is used in terms of monofacial and bifacial, because monofaciality and bifaciality decides whether backsheet has to be the module has to be glass to glass or glass to backsheet. We already discussed this. So monofacial could be glass to backsheet, bifacial has to be glass to glass or glass to transparent backsheet necessarily. Full cell and half cell cuts modules are used now, and these are again emerging technology where half cut cells gives less resistance and hence more CTM gain rather, or I'll say the least CTM gain. Sometimes it also gives CTM least CTM loss. It gives actually more CTM gain sometime, but it generally generates more power because of less resistive losses. So full cell module, half cell module, and quarter cell module. Quarter cell module is one which actually is emerging. It has got a lot of complexity, but we have to see how it picks up in the market based on the availability of the equipment by the manufacturer. Last slide probably of my presentation is this, where market is moving, technology of module is moving from, is moved all the way from 3 bus bar to 4 bus bar, 5 bus bar. Now it's going to multi bus bar. So multi bus bar is where you have more than 12 bus bar or maybe more in a cell to reduce the shading and hence to reduce the losses due to shadowing of the light, and finally increasing the power of the module. So thank you so much for your attention. I have finished my presentation, so we can move to the question and answer. Thank you so much.
Sharon, I'm request now.
Yes, if anybody would like to have some clarification in either Spanish or Portuguese, can you go ahead and let us know? I see that we have the first question here, so perhaps I will read it out loud. It is, what is the real advantage of using UltraCure over FastCure EVA?
Okay, so fast cure EVA and ultra fast cure EVA, as the name says, uh, it cures faster, so it reduces the cycle time at the lamination stage of the module. So productivity of the module will be more. So a typical ultra fast cure EVA today is around 6 minutes to 8 minutes, whereas fast cure EVA is today around 12 minutes. So you get advantage of 3 to 4 minutes per cycle, increasing the productivity by that many percentage.
Si alguno de ustedes tiene una pregunta en español, no duden en hacerla.
Next question is, can we assume that panels with double fluoro backsheet will last longer than panels with non-fluoro backsheet?
Okay, so if the fluoro, if I have to answer two ways. One, the fluoro and non-fluoro. So fluoro is a material which is needed to be on the outer side of the backsheet so that it protects backsheet and hence the module from environmental hazard like UV radiation, dirt and dust. So there's a clear distinction between fluoro and non-fluoro. So fluoro is better than non-fluoro overall. But when it comes to double fluoro and non-fluoro, then double fluoro is not needed today because the single fluoro, which is fluoro, polyester, and EVA, is better for giving longer shelf life of the module because of higher peel bond, higher addition between the EVA layer of single fluoro of the backsheet and the EVA encapsulant. So I prefer it should be either single fluoro or polyester base, which is called non-fluoro, but not double fluoro because double fluoro adds to the lot of cost but does not add that much of uh, the value to the module.
Oh, thank you, Rajesh. I believe that Rogero has received some questions by WhatsApp. Rogero, could you read the first question out loud to us?
I am writing, I'm translating writing there. One of them is how long or how about the shelf life? If someone exposure the solar cell direct in the solar radiation, how long will shelf life of these solar cells will survive without EVA or fluoro? And if we apply only one level of EVA or only one layer of the fluoro, how long about the shelf life of the solar cell?
Okay, understand the question. So uh, all the module today is designed and certified for 25 years in India and I think everywhere. So all the components of module, including backsheet, which is single fluoro type or double fluoro type or even non-fluoro type, are designed and tested and certified for 25 years. So there are no doubt on this. Only when it comes to the workmanship. So within 25 years, whether we say which is economically better and also passes 25 years, we go by this. So I said, based on the climatic condition of the place where we are going to do the installation, we have to choose whether non-fluoro is okay or we have to necessarily use fluoro type. So once we decided, it is always for 25 years.
Thank you, Rajesh. Do you have another question, Rogero?
Yes, I have one here. When the people producing the solar panels to work with 1000 VDC, and when the people are wishing producing 1500 VDC, they need to apply more fluor, less fluor. How about the difference about the process to fabrication?
So, okay, if I understand, he was trying to ask whether we need fluoro or non-fluoro for 1000 or 1500 system voltage module, correct? So if this is the question, then there is no difference in selection criteria, or I'll say there is no problem whether you use fluoro based or non-fluoro based for 1000 or 1500. What is important between these two types of module is called thickness of backsheet. So thickness of backsheet, which is called non-melting layer, should be minimum 100. The non-melting layer of 1000 VDC module should be minimum 150 micron, whereas non-melting layer of 1500 VDC should be 300 micron. So difference between two backsheet are only the thickness, not the type of backsheet.
Any other questions from our guests?
Yeah, there's one. Rajesh sir, it's mentioning, is it fair to assume that all encapsulants with UV transparent properties have an earlier wake-up time?
Yes,
In short, so they generate power for longer hours. Is it so?
yes. So when we use UVT type, then it allows UV rays to come into the cell also, and UV rays come first on the earth. So it wakes up early and also is sleep later. So generally based on the region where module are installed, the time of early wake up varies from 15 minutes to 35-40 minutes, and sleep time of module extended by again 15 minutes to 35 minutes. So the power generation, more power generation happens because of two reasons. One, it wake up early, sleeps later, plus it allows more light to come on the cell and generate more power. So it is compounding effect.
Okay, well, we want to thank everybody for attending. We had people from Brazil, Argentina, Mexico, UK, India, of course, United States, and we thank you all for coming and joining us. We will be sending out the slide deck to you, and we special thanks to Vanel for setting this up. Special thanks to Rogero and Alejandra for their translation. And oh, I'm sorry, I see more questions coming in from Rogero. Next question is, what means major change in lamination equipment bifacials?
Okay, so for bifacial, if you use glass to transparent backsheet, there are no major change in the equipment for making model. But if it is for glass to glass, then you need to do a lot of changes in the uh, line, which is automatic process, and also in the laminator, because you need heat from both the sides in most of the time. So question had to be decided in two parts. For bifacial cells, glass to backsheet, no major change. For bifacial cells, for glass to glass, a moderate change.
And thank you, Rajesh. Rogero's last question from his guest is about bus bar. What kind of material is Renewsys using today? And what is the maximum quantity, I believe, of bus bar that you are producing?
Bus bar is a component which we buy from the point of view of its metallurgy. It is actually copper coated with nickel and tin. Uh, we are using right now flat bus bar, which is four bus bar cells and 5 bus bar cells. So we make two types of module. But technology is upgrading to multi-bus bar, where there will be 12 bus bar to 24 bus bar. So today, the majority of the module we make with 4 and some quantity with 5 with a flat type of bus bar.
Okay, any other questions? I think we are concluded, and thank you once again to Rajesh and Raja and Vanel for setting all of this up and hosting us. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye, gracias por asistir.